Hey, I just got back from lunch. Did you finish that report yet?
Well, not exactly. Still working on it. I'm not finished just yet. I got a little sidetracked, but I will get them to you first thing this afternoon.
It is first thing this afternoon.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, I am working on
But
it. I'll have
what do you mean that the report isn't finished yet?
I'm still in the process of working on it. I've just been a little distracted.
Distracted. Our meeting starts in an hour.
I can have it.
No. What were you doing? Were you listening to another hunting podcast again? I swear, I give the staff in this office the freedom to do whatever they want to do as long as they meet a deadline. That is the first bullet underneath your job description. Pays attention to detail and deadlines. And deadlines with emphasis. Dude, are you even listening to me right now?
Welcome to episode 82 of the Whitetail Distraction Podcast. My name's Austin, and joining me via Zoom, Charles Heldon. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. We just recorded another great episode, huh?
Yeah, man. I'm excited about that one.
Heck yeah, dude. And now we are sitting just a few days out from the opener for youth season in PA. I just got back from Oklahoma. There was snow on the ground 2 days this week. What else happened?
It just got brutally cold. I mean, I can tell you that.
Like, are you kidding me? I thought today when I woke up this morning, it was Groundhog Day. When I woke up and there was snow on the ground again.
Literally, man. I can't even believe it. You know, the other day we were talking on Marco Polo with a couple of guys for the Yak for Bass group, and you know, Walt put out the podcast, and he's talking about how us PA boys, you know, we get weird weather in May. You know,
yeah.
it could snow in the middle of our bass fishing tournament. Well, guess what, man? The very next day, I think he cursed us because it was like 72, 74 degrees, and you wake up the next morning with 2 inches of snow on the ground. So he's killing me, man.
It was pretty wild. It snows in the morning. You wake up, or snow. It pretty much snowed all day. And then by the afternoon, it's all melted and completely gone. And then woke up today, and I looked outside, and I literally thought it was Groundhog Day. I'm like, didn't we just have this all yesterday, and it was all gone?
Literally.
Yeah, there's another inch in the ground. And then by 10 o'clock, it's all gone.
Unreal, man. Unreal.
It's crazy. I've been seeing videos from people like in the West or Midwest, I guess, where their season's already open, and there's literally birds on the limb with snow everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
That stuff's pretty cool to me.
I love
but
that. I
same
love it.
sense, I'll take 65.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got the taste of a little bit of warmer weather, and I was digging it.
Yeah. We're gonna have some episodes coming from that Oklahoma trip. I gotta update you on that. I haven't even really told you much about it.
I know. I've been like living through like Instagram posts. It's killing me.
Pretty much, and I definitely didn't do my part either on the whitetail distraction side. It was just like so hectic when we were out there that I was having such a good time, man. I wasn't even barely on my phone.
I don't blame you, buddy. That's all good. That's all good.
But we'll get those, and we'll get some episodes with some of the guys and get them on and talk about it because it was so much fun. Video should be dropping soon as well on that. So
yeah, man.
Something for two.
I love it. I love it. So speaking of turkey, who do we have on for this episode?
We have my good buddy Kyle Allen back on with ANF Custom Calls. One of the sponsors of the show as well. And lucky enough, he just sent over a shipment that came in today. So we'll be able to blow on some calls for the opener next week.
Yeah, man. And you can always use our promo code WDP to get free shipping on those calls.
Yes, sir. Yes, you can. But let's get Kyle on. All right, guys, we are back with another episode here. Of course, we got to keep the turkey content rolling. We got our boy Kyle Allen in here with us, the Tennessee Turkey Slayer, the PA Turkey Slayer, Ohio Turkey Slayer, West Virginia Turkey Slayer. My dude, the originator of ANF Custom Calls. What's going on, cowboy? How are you tonight, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself, Chuck?
I'm doing good, man. I'm feeling good. We just won a baseball game, coming right off of that, and we're going to talk about killing turkey tonight. So it can't get any better than that, does it, bud?
I should have had two in Tennessee, but I got a little excited, I think. I pulled my shot to the right on the first one, so.
You got one of them crooked barrels, huh?
Either that or my sights aren't lined up. One of the two. I'll blame the gun.
Yeah. Hey, are you shooting a red dot or something on yours? I always meant to ask.
I had a red dot on, and I missed 3 turkeys one year and took it off. Or actually, I didn't take it off. I borrowed my buddy's 10 gauge and killed one, so I got rid of the red dot. I just used they're like those slug sights, because it's
Gotcha.
like the NWTF edition 1187 or whatever.
Nice.
Those true glow sights.
Yeah. I'm always been a nice traditional bead guy. Single bead.
I hate those sights I have on it, but it doesn't have a red. I'm stuck with those sights.
You ever find that they're just like too big? They take up too much of the target, especially on them longer shots. Or what do you think?
It's too much room for air, I think. And when it's through the brush, they get ripped off. I've replaced them twice.
No way.
So I can't get rid of it. I bought it brand new.
Yeah. So you were just getting back from Tennessee, huh? The old cheating, going down early season, getting ahead of the schedule on us, aren't you? Man, I'll tell you what, we've been living vicarious through you here the last week. That's for sure.
Last year was the first year I went down. My friend Colton, who helps me sell my calls, he invited me down last year, and it turned out it was just us two that went due to COVID when sort of backed out, but him and I still really wanted to go. We went down, and in 3 days we killed 4 turkeys, and not a single one of them gobbled. We just saw turkeys and set up on them in the woods, and you could hear them spitting and drumming coming in. They wouldn't gobble. And then this year, my dad and I went to check out some new territory down there, and we were the only ones hunting the public land that we found, and there was birds everywhere. It was a good time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's great. I've always heard Tennessee's like turkey heaven. I got to do it one of these years. Just got to do it. Got to pull the trigger and go.
It's a long drive, but I mean, for what it is down there, you can kill 3. This year, you could kill 3. Last year, you could kill 4. But I think due to the amount of popularity public land hunting is garnished with a lot of the YouTube videos, I think they had to cut back because people from the north obviously want to get a head start.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the closest southern state that has a good turkey population. So
yeah, they're very centralized in the fact that some of the southern guys that are typically hunting some pretty stingy, quiet birds, they like the fact that they can go up to Tennessee and typically get on some birds that like to talk. They like to work. They like to, react to calls and come in. So you kind of got both directions pulling to Tennessee. It's that nice little common middle ground, I think.
Yeah, and honestly though, the birds that we were hunting, they seemed to have a lot of hens with them. They didn't really, they'd give you a courtesy gobble. They would gobble, and then you'd walk, a mile or so to get to them. And then once you got to them, they would answer every 10th call, which I think was in part because the hens hadn't started to nest yet. At least the part of the state that we were in. I think next year I'm going to lean towards waiting another week or two before I go down. Just like Pennsylvania season, I don't take my vacation until the 3rd week because
right.
I hear a lot of people say that the season doesn't come in early enough, and I think it could come in later and it'd be better.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I saw a tom last year literally breeding with a hen on the last day of the season.
Yeah,
that was May. I mean that's the first time I've seen that, but
yeah, they're breeding into June if you think about it. I mean, we're not in the woods obviously hunting them, so we don't really get to see what goes on. But find gobblers still looking for hens and hens still looking for gobblers in June.
Yeah.
No,
I'm right there with you, man. I want to take it back just a little bit for anybody who hasn't heard episode 30 of the podcast. Kyle, Chuck just ran right past it. You want to introduce yourself a little bit for those who haven't heard episode 30?
Come on, man. We've been introducing ANF Custom Calls like every episode.
I know, but they got the guy right here, man.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
My company in 2019, I started building calls. I think it was back in 2014. I bought a little hand jig, and I was doing competitions, but you find a store, you run it, and it's not exactly what you need. There's anywhere from $10 to $15 down the drain that's not going to really work for you. So I started building my own calls to find what worked for me, and then after about 5 years or 3 years of doing it, I got semi good at it, and people started wanting calls. And then, word of mouth, it spread. So I was like, well, I better start my company because I'm putting out a lot of calls and I can advertise them. So here we are, 2021. I've sold probably anywhere from 200 to 250 so far this year. So we're growing slowly, but here we are.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I know we've been running your calls for the past few years. I think Chuck's been running them a little bit longer than me, but they work freaking awesome, man. I can attest to them all day.
Yeah, I tried to, I have two different types. I have a looser tension, obviously, for someone who is a beginning caller, and then I have a tighter tension. That's what I ran when I was doing competitions, and obviously that's a different style of calling when you're using that call. But if you can do it, it sounds a lot better. So
Yeah.
wanted to both to just someone who wants to hunt, and then someone who wants to really sound like a turkey.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. It makes sense. I mean, that's kind of going along the lines of most call companies. They run the single, double, and triple reads.
Yeah.
Typically a beginner, you think they're running single or double. Trying to make the noises and everything, and get a little more experience, get into the better calls, man.
Yeah, I think I'm finally there. Finally, last couple years I've been running your triple reeded, little tighter tension competition calls, and man, I love them. They sound so good. But they're getting a little worn, Kyle. So I'm gonna need a couple more.
Brad.
You got me, bud. You got me. But anyways, if anyone else wants to know anything else about Cowboy here, Kyle and I have mentioned him before in the podcast. We played college baseball together. That's how we got to know one another. He's a local Northwest PA boy, grew up right here. Now he's living over in Ohio. He figured, he could live in Ohio, still kill all the big bucks on a lot lower of a residence tag, and then still come over here PA and spend about as much as I do on a license as a non-resident. So good on you, buddy. That was a good call.
Perfectly.
Yeah, that was very smart of you. Very smart. But we got you on tonight because, you're our turkey guy in all reality. You're our local turkey guy. You killed, 6 birds last year, did you say? Is that right?
No.
For 5 in 3 different states?
4, I killed, if you're counting fall, I killed a fall bird in PA, and then 2 longbeards in Tennessee, a longbeard in Ohio, and then a longbeard in Pennsylvania, all public land.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so 5 birds last year in total. It was pretty impressive, man. So, I want to jump into it, like you just mentioned, you do a lot of public land hunting, especially in PA. I know you do a lot of hunting up in the ANF, a lot of big woods hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched you on a couple of Claycomb Outdoors videos.
Yep.
I finally get it done on, I think day 23, 25, something like that, somewhere in there on the videos. So if anybody wants to check those out, Kyle is on there. Just go ahead and scroll past that one where he misses the bird, and then that crooked barrel got him again. But you finally got it done, man. I just got to know, when you're in them big woods and you're hunting the hard timber lines and whatnot, what's your go-to? How are you getting on birds most of the time?
It depends. So, in PA, I found it has its, where I hunt, there's a lot of well roads, gas well roads, and the turkeys seem to really hang out on those. So most of the day I'm spending walking down those, 50 yards, make a call, another 50 yards, make a call. And, most of the time, since there's not a lot of traffic on those roads, you'll get them to gobble right on the road or very close to it, and then you can call them right up to that dirt road and you can shoot them on that road. I've done that numerous times. Now, flip side, I was down in Tennessee, same sort of terrain as Pennsylvania, but the turkeys' behavior was totally different. They weren't on those roads. They wouldn't come up those roads. But, you come into a big oak flat in Tennessee, you better start making calls because they're probably somewhere just down over the hill on those hillsides somewhere. So I don't know. I do a lot of running and gunning. That's my go-to. I can't sit still. I can't sit in one spot unless I've walked, 10 miles. Now I'm tired. So turkey hunting is my favorite because that's you're interacting with the animal. You're manipulating the animal's behavior based off you making a call. Sure, you can call a buck in, every now and then with a rattle or a grunt, but you're not doing that every time you go out. That's not your goal every time you go out when you deer hunt.
Absolutely.
Time you're waiting in ambush, which, that gets monotonous to me. And I really like the fact with turkey hunting, you can make it happen. Pretty much 99% of the time, it's you that's making it happen.
Yeah. When you're deer hunting, I mean, just go how many times you blind grunt and blind rattle and you don't even get a reaction. Nothing shows up. I mean, I would say that happens 9 times out of 10, if not more, that you don't get something. Now you're going out and you're turkey calling. There's a lot better opportunity when you're calling to get a reaction out of a turkey than there is a deer, And the best part about turkey, I think, is just the fact that, I mean, they let you know exactly where they're at. They make this loud, boisterous noise, and it's beautiful, and they scream at you, hey, here I am, and then it's up to you, like you said. You have to finish it from there. You have to be the one that closes the distance and does everything right, because, again, they're not supposed to come to you. You're supposed to go to them.
Right. And I think a lot of people, with calling it a turkey, they think they have to sound, exactly like a turkey. It's all about how you call. And I would say that calling is probably 10% of it. I know people that don't sound very good at all, but are really good woodsmen, and they know how to set up, and they're going to set up where that turkey's going to, it's easy for that turkey to come in and take a look. So I think your setup is the majority of the game with turkey hunting. The turkey that I called in Tennessee, huge oak flat, wide open. Now, you're not going to get a television hunt. You're not going to see the bird come in 200-300 yards away, strutting, gobbling. But set up, he was down over the hill. When he pops up at 25 yards, he's in kill range then. So I think, the setup is the major part with turkey hunting.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, you don't have the right backdrop, and you just have that little bit of sunlight on you that's just making you shimmer a little bit, or staying in those shadows and getting up against a tree and picking the right setup's a big deal. I mean, think about how many times you hear turkey. I mean, you said it's probably 10% of the time that calling's actually what gets it done for you. I can think of a couple of instances where I heard a hen going off, and I was like, "Oh man, that's another hunter." It's terrible. He's not shutting up. It's horrible. It doesn't sound right. And the next thing you know, you see a group of hens come in, and they don't shut up at all. They just burp, 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 the whole time. So I do agree, and I think that setup is a very large majority over calling.
Yeah, and I was, if someone was to video me every time I went hunting, you'd be like, man, he calls way too much. He needs to shut up when they get close. But for me, in my setups, I call because I need to know where that bird's going to pop up. So when that bird yards, I still am not going to be able to see it. So I call because he still can't see me, and I want to have my gun positioned right where he's going to be, popping into my shooting lane. So I've had it hurt me, but I like hearing them gobble. I like the interaction. So I'll screw up, 8 times out of 10, but the 2 times that it does happen, I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it's a blast. You're getting chills the whole time, just firing all. Ooh, I love that, man.
Yep.
Yeah, turkey hunting's all about like the experience in it. It's so different from deer hunting or anything else that I do, because it's all about getting that experience, getting them to answer, talking to them, interacting with them back and forth, and then overall winning a battle with an animal that has a pea brain, which is not always easy to do for some reason.
Yep.
It's totally different. And to do it, I've had a lot of out-of-state hunts recently, and it's a lot of fun, like you can attest to, Kyle. It's a lot different even, the different areas you go. It's a little different tactics sometimes to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the time I'm checking out, as of recent, I'm checking out some ground that I've never hunted before. So that's a thing in and of itself. You're trying to figure out the birds' behavior, their patterns in a piece of ground that you've never, or a piece of the part of the country that you've never even hunted in. So I think another fun thing about turkey hunting is to find a piece of ground that no one else is hunting, I think is a good way to put it.
Yeah. And then get it done in 2 to 3 days. That's even the harder part, is doing it that way.
Yeah. And honestly, down in Tennessee, I did call one in for my dad that it came into 55 yards, but he didn't have the greatest shot, and he was only using 3-inch mags. So we could have very well had 3 birds in those 4 days that we were down there, but we'll get them next year.
Oh man, I've killed quite a few birds with the 3-inch, but Something about that 3.5. It beats you up so much more, but just that extra amount of BBs, man, that extra just it gets it done, man.
Absolutely. And I don't spend a lot on my shells. I just use the Remington Premier Magnum #4s. So
Oh yeah.
I like them to be within 50 yards before I shoot. 50 is even pushing it for me. So
yeah, 50's out there, man. And you're talking about just aiming at a neck and a head at 50 yards. That's out there, and my gun doesn't even take 3.5, so I'm shooting 3-inch 5 shots, and I shot 2 birds last year. One was at like 52 yards and one was at 45. I dropped them both dead as hell, but I patterned my gun out to 45 yards. I knew where it was going to hit. I knew where to aim, and I felt confident with it. But that's still, it's not like it was a last ditch kind of effort on that long shot I took. I mean, the bird was kind of putting away, and he stopped and gave me that dead clear head completely up opportunity, and I took it. But otherwise, I wouldn't suggest anybody taking that kind of shot. I know guys like crazy now with some of the TSS and stuff. They're shooting 60, 70 yards. I'm like, why? That's part of turkey hunting too, is getting them in close.
That's for me. That's for me. I like to have them in close, and I don't really hunt fields like since I was a kid and we had permission to hunt, up where I grew up. Those are some field birds and that, but since then I haven't hunted, field birds where I'm going to get a clear shot like that. So most of the time, there's little saplings and stuff in the way that you can't see that are 40 yards away. And I'm colorblind, so that doesn't help things. So, when they're 40 plus, I get a little nervous to shoot.
Yeah.
Speaking of field birds, I do have permission to hunt a property over here in Ohio. It's private ground, and I think the only way for me to really hunt it is in a field. So that's going to feel really weird. Almost like cheating.
Yeah, well, they've probably heard 100 times here now on the podcast, but we're leaving Thursday for Oklahoma. It's pretty much all fields for what I understand. We don't have a choice.
Yeah, he said out there.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. It's going to be exciting, but I got some guys locally doing some work for us, getting boots on the ground, trying to find some birds, so it should be fun.
How many birds can you kill out there?
You can kill 3 in Oklahoma, but you're only allowed 1 per county, so you have to switch it up per county, and it's actually really cheap too, to be honest, but 16-hour drive, so.
Yeah, I would fly.
Yeah. With as much stuff as we're packing in, I just couldn't even imagine trying to get that all into where I could fly. We're just going to rent a minivan and pow everything in and give it hell. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I can't wait, man. So, all right. So you kind of gave us your PA tactics, but, you just recently got a bird in Tennessee, as we mentioned. I want to know what your tactics were out there. How'd you get it done, man?
I guess I sort of touched on it a little bit, but I actually ran into some locals down there. Those were the only hunters that I saw. And they were like, "Where did you come from?" And I was like, I'm just walking down this road here, and I'm making calls. And they're like, well, there's no birds in here. No one's going to be hunting in here because no one really likes to walk. None of the locals like to walk. He said they just drive down the road and make calls. I'm like thinking to myself, I've heard about 8 birds in here since I've been in here for the last 2 days. And so they were like, yeah, they ain't in here like they used to be. Well, I wasn't about to tell them that I was hearing all these birds. They did hear shoot and miss though.
Yeah.
But I think that the tactic down there was don't give up on a spot just because you didn't hear one on the roost, because my dad and I were hunting together and we went into a spot where we knew there was a gobbler because I had heard it and we had it the day before, and there was no way for it to escape the ridge that it was on because it wasn't going to fly out across there for no reason, and it's not going to walk down and through the hollow because it's all mountain. So we knew it was up there. And it was a crystal clear morning, and my dad and I walk 1.5 miles back in, and we're standing there, and my dad's pissed because we walked all the way back in there and it's not gobbling, and he's, mad. I said, well, let's walk up the hill here so we could hear the backside, and the way those ridges up there in Tennessee, they have like little fingers that extend off the big ridge, and then they'll have like a little bowl,
Yep.
And if there's roosted in that bowl, you're not going to hear them from the majority of that major ridge that you're on. So you need to call, at each little bull there is, because he may not hear you, you may not hear him. And that's what we ran into there. The bird I missed, I was trying to, pinpoint 2 other birds that I was hearing off the roost that were on other ridges. And I'm walking down the road and I make a call, and this bird gobbles 60 yards from me. Well, here he was on the same ridge, but I never heard him, just because where he was roosted, down on the side of the hill, he was there the whole time and I didn't even know it.
Huh.
So I think that was a big thing down there. Obviously, different public land is going to get different pressure. We did hunt one day at the public land we hunted last year, my buddy Colton and I, and there was literally a truck at every pull off that you could park at. My dad and I were like, we're not hunting here because you can't even hunt. Like, you're just going to go sit in a spot and that's your hunt for the day. That's no fun. That's not hunting to me.
Yeah.
Right.
So we drove an hour and a half back to where we were hunting before, and we got there at 11:30, 12 o'clock. We got on birds immediately. And it was just the whole experience of being able to just go hunt, just walk, just go, rather than, we talked about just sitting in one spot. I can't do that. That's not for me, and that's never been for me, and it never will be for me.
Yeah, probably the perfect reason why you own a turkey dog at the same time, huh?
Exactly.
I mean, it plays right into how you like to do it. There's nothing better, and Floyd's doing a lot of the work for you. So
Floyd, not Floyd.
I thought I said. I'm sorry. I may have had a few at Los Amigos, bud.
That's all right. Everyone calls him.
No, Lloyd. Lloyd's. You know what? Lloyd's a heck of a singer too. By the way, I don't know if I ever complimented.
He's actually, sometimes he gets a little annoying because there's certain songs I can't listen to because he'll just start howling.
That's great. That is absolutely great.
I'll be in the basement listening to a song, and he'll come running from the bedroom on the opposite side of the house, run downstairs and start howling. I don't know.
Hey, so, all right, well, let's hear the story then. I want to hear about the bird that you did kill. I want to hear the full story on it, man.
So, how I was saying, there was 2 birds I was trying to figure out where they were. Well, that bird that I missed, it gobbled right here, so obviously I hunted that. But I figured out where the other 2 birds were, and my dad and I went in and hunted the first bird, and it gave us 3 quick gobbles, and then we set up, and every 10th call it'd gobble, and then it started raining, and so we were like, well, let's get out of here, go get some lunch. So we went to, we found a Pizza Hut, got some Pizza Hut, and then came back, and I told him, I was like, I figured out where that other bird is. It's back this trail that goes back, and it's 3 miles. I got to walk back to get to this bird. And I asked my dad, I said, do you want to go back there and shoot that turkey? He goes, no, you can have that one. I said, okay, I'll go kill it. So he drops me off, and I walk back, and he was going to go mess with some other birds he had been hearing. So I walked back through there, and I saw a hen. I don't know if it was just sleeping in the woods or if there was a nest there that didn't have any eggs, but I got like 30 yards from her, and then she finally got up and ran. So I was like, well, that's a good sign because, if there's hen in here that's alone, that gobbler might be alone.
Yeah.
So I continued to walk out the ridge, and I was following this hog trail through sort of, semi-thick woods. It wasn't really turkey habitat, it wasn't like, you're going to find a gobbler strutting in there or anything. But then all of a sudden it opens up into this huge oak flat. And so I was like, well, before I walk through this, I'm going to make a few calls. So I made a call, didn't hear anything, made another call, and I was like, man, I thought I heard one. So I'm standing there and I make another call, and you can tell now that this bird has either faced me or it's now closing the distance. So I take my vest off and I pull my jacket out because I took my jacket off. I was sweating so bad, and I had a faded camo shirt on I didn't really want to be sitting there with. So put my jacket on, get set up, make a call, and the bird is on its way. Like, I could tell now that it's coming. So I call again, and every call I made, it's gobbling coming in. And this bird, I call, and it's like 50 yards, but it's down over the crest of the hill. So I'm like, all right, it's coming straight at me. Like, I don't even have to move my gun. And all of a sudden, here it is, pops into strut as it crests the hill. And then, it gives you the old, it's peeking at you. All right, I don't see a hen here. There should be a hen. Well, by then it was too late, and I shot. And after I shot, I got to chase it down the hill because now it's rolling down a mountain. I caught it. The walk is even worse because I figured I would save some time, instead of walking 3 miles back, I was just going to cut down through the hollow. That was a big mistake because I looked like Cliffhanger because I was going up these big rock faces, and it was a bad decision. That's how I know the turkeys aren't going to walk down those hollows and up the other side.
Oh man, especially with a turkey on your back, that probably wasn't too much.
So bad. The spurs were catching on every piece of mountain laurel, every jagger bush, everything. It was rotten.
Oh man,
that's awesome.
That was my turkey.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know the pressure's off now. You got your bird already for the year. Now you can hunt Ohio, PA, and get it done, man. So, what you looking to hunt the opener in Ohio?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably go down south, hunt some public land on the opening day, and then I'll save this spot that's by my house because it's just a mile and a half down the road. I could go there before work. So,
what day does Ohio open, Kyle?
This is the first year it opens on a Saturday. It's not this Saturday, but the following. I think it's the same as Pennsylvania's youth season.
That's what I was going to say. I think that's our youth season, yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
cool.
It's the 24th because West Virginia comes in on the 19th, and typically West Virginia and Ohio were kind of close to the same day. I think they usually came in either on the same day or really close to, and this year they're different.
Yeah, I wish Ohio still came in on a Monday because I would, sneak down there before work and get a couple hours. Probably wouldn't have as much hunting pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll probably see some pressure. I'm not sure where you're going. If you want to, we could take that offline and I can see where you're going and maybe suggest a place or two if you want. There's some fun places, man.
I actually was shown around by a local, and it's not really advertised that it's public. It's sort of low key. It's public, but it's not like not advertised. There's not signs. There's not.
It's one of those wink places.
I'm sure the audience know it's there, but
yeah. Oh man.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. I'm glad you got the bird done. Congratulations on that one. And I'm looking forward to your season coming up.
Yeah, me too. I'm always excited for spring gobbler. I think I drove my parents nuts when I was little because I used to have them drop me off. I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a car. I'd say, drop me off at such and such's property. I'm going to go walk back in there. And we had, but I would just go listen for turkeys, and I would even call to them before the season. But I was calling to them, and they would come in. I wasn't spooking them, but they would come in, and I'd watch gobblers fight in front of me, and I learned a lot just from doing that.
Yeah,
that was an experience.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Do you have any plans to do any hunts with like Chad Claycomb this year or anything like that, or anything in the works?
Yeah, I got a hold of him. We're gonna try to do another hunt when I take my vacation that third week. I told him to come up, and this year I'll make sure that he's on the bird when I actually shoot.
There you go.
We had some communication last year, so I got to redeem myself this year.
Yeah, I found it funny that you mentioned about the third week that's when you usually take your time off. I mean I know why, but for a few reasons I think it's a pretty big benefit too. Is obviously you can hunt all day. That third week there's a lot less pressure up there, I think personally as well. And then as you mentioned earlier, like the birds, the hens are actually going to nest for the most part. And the gobblers are separating, and those evenings and those middays can be absolutely fire up there, man, that third week.
And you missed, there's one more reason, and it's because the foliage getting on birds. You nailed every other reason why, but that one, that's
a great point. And, that actually hurt us last year, because if you remember last year, how late it didn't get green for almost until like the last couple of days of the season. It was so wide open. That we had birds, same thing. You get in those big hillsides and that wide open timber up there, and you can't move in on birds. I mean, you strike one and you can't move across the hillside. It's wide open. And that hurt us last year.
Tennessee was the same way. I thought, going down to Tennessee, going down south in April, you're going to have some underbrush. And, there was none. It was, you'd strike a bird that's up on a ridge. Now you can't even walk at it if it's up on the top because it's 300 yards.
Yeah. So it's going to pick you off.
Because most of the time, if you get a bird that's henned up, if you get in within 100 yards or within 75 yards and you make some calls, you can normally, it's going to come in and take a peek. But if you're 200, 300 yards away, that bird isn't coming. Those hens aren't coming. It's just going to, it's there and it's going to go follow those hens and do its thing.
Yeah, I agree. I never thought about that, but since you said it, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Well, although I will say, I was out this morning. I went out and I was listening for some birds, and other than the fog, that was the only thing I think that killed me. I never heard anything. I realized, we're way ahead this year in PA green-wise than we were last year and the year before. But again, last year it snowed in the opener, snowed in the second week or whatever, the first weekend. So that's going to play a part, I think, locally here. If you remember, Kyle, it's tough when it gets really green, some of this local property, but up north, like you said, it's kind of the opposite. It's more to a benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the only hindrance you have is hearing them, hearing. But if you know where the birds are, if you have some intel or if you've scouted and you kind of have an idea where the bird's going to be roosted, where it's going to hang out, that doesn't really matter as much. And I would rather take, being able to position myself, get a good setup, use that cover to my advantage rather than, it'd be a hindrance to being able to hear them.
Yeah.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Chuck. You got to think though. Last year it stayed cold, like you said. It was snowing open, and this year it's been 80 pretty much all last week, and in the 70s, and even when the snow was starting to fly, the maples were starting to bloom, and everything was getting ready all of a sudden, and we might have to play with it a little bit this year and see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be, a huge difference. Like I said, locally, it's really going to affect us. A lot of my properties locally, they're maybe like small fields or they're areas of woods that once they thicken up and they get really green, those birds kind of move out. So I kind of have to hunt them early here locally because the grass either grows too high in some of the fields because they're uncut fields, that later in the season, they're typically more in the plowed fields and they're out of the real high grass stuff where, last year I was into like week 3 or 4, week 3, hadn't even seen a mosquito yet. This year we're going to get crushed.
Oh.
Mosquitoes, ticks. It's going to be insane, man.
Ticks are terrible this year already, man.
Yeah, the ticks were bad in Tennessee, so I can only imagine what they're going to be like up here.
Yeah. Kyle, do you think those big woods, though, you think some of that like Tennessee and even up north, you think it's just because like the deer populations are so high and they don't have a lot of the ag and stuff that they browse a lot of that little stuff off? And that's why we don't see a lot of green early, like the normal stuff we see around here. Think that plays any effect? Because I was just thinking, mature timber, you don't see a lot of that undergrowth as much in that mature timber because a lot of deer, like I remember as a kid, it was especially true in like Clear Creek and stuff. They eat a lot of that stuff. It really opens the woods up.
Well, down in Tennessee, I wouldn't even go deer hunting down there. My dad and I didn't see any deer crap. We didn't hardly see any deer tracks. I think I saw 2 rubs and 3 scrapes. And I walked 6 miles the first day, 6 miles the second day, 14.7 miles Saturday, and then 5 miles on Sunday. And now if you go up to the big woods in the ANF, you're going to see, obviously you've been up there, you're going to see a lot more than just 2 or 3.
Tons.
So,
Yeah.
so I don't think that has as much to do with it just by seeing that.
Yeah. Just a thought I had. It was kind of a random thought, but I remember clearly and like distinct as day when we were kids and I'd go like Clear Creek for rifle season and I kid you not, anything that a deer could reach up to on its hind legs had been completely browsed. Everything was gone.
They'll definitely do that, but I don't think it matters so much for like, you get the monofloral rows, you're going to get the ferns, everything coming up. I don't know.
May apples and stuff. Yeah. Interesting thought. So what's in the docket? Just Ohio and PA then for you, Kyle, to finish out the year or what, man? You're afraid to go to West Virginia with me, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's just say yeah. I don't know when I'm time to do that.
Yeah, I hear you. We should take it. We need to go, since you're already out there in Ohio, we need to just go across and go hunt Indiana, man. I hear there's a lot of birds in Indiana.
I heard there's a lot of birds over there, and I don't know what the terrain would be like. I don't know if it gets more mountainous towards the no.
No, nothing like what we see. Not
Yeah.
Indiana. Yeah, it's at best rolling hills, very little topography play in Indiana. It'd be more of kind of like your middle Ohio type deal where you get some of the creek bottoms and stuff, but Indiana is not anywhere near terrain like bad like we see around here.
Figured it would be since they have a good turkey population. Like where I live, there's some turkeys, but like you'd think driving down these roads, you'd see out in these fields, you'd see, strutters everywhere. But no, that's not the case. There's hardly any turkeys in the county I'm in.
Yeah. Well, you're strongly opinionated then, as we all know, right? So what do you think is the ultimate reason behind the ultimate decline in turkey populations? Because it's pretty much nationwide. Turkey populations are down everywhere. What do you think it is, man? I know what I believe, but I want to hear what you're seeing personally as well.
Well, that's hard to say. I mean, I've heard someone say something about the West Nile virus is having an effect. I know in PA, the introduction of fishers up in the Allegheny National Forest didn't help things. Coyote populations increasing. I found a dead longbeard last year that was killed by either a bobcat or a coyote, one of the two. I think that, the fur price is going down. Raccoons, they're
that's my number one.
You have a huge population of raccoons now. There's more than one factor, but that's major contributing factors in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll tell you what, we actually we got on some birds last year on this ridge, and when we went back, we couldn't find a bird one. I mean, there were birds everywhere. The weekend before, we went back a week later, and sure enough, as we were walking through, we saw a fisher run through the area. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes a ton of sense why there's no turkey here now, because, man, they are just, they are probably, when it gets past like the nesting phase, I would say they're the most dangerous predator to turkey because they can climb trees. They can get them out of the roost. There is no limits. Turkey flies up in a tree, a coyote's not going to kill it. Right. Rarely is a bobcat going to climb up a tree and probably go after a turkey too. But those fishers, man, they are vicious, vicious killers. But what I think is number one, and I think you touched on it, is that nobody traps anymore. Nobody traps. The price of fur is so low. There are a billion raccoons and possums and skunks and all these different animals that eat and just destroy nests. And we're not getting hatches. We're pretty much at, I just listened to a biologist the other day down south. They're at like 15 to 20% successful hatch. And they consider successful hatches if one egg hatches, and just imagine that. But like raccoons, they get into a nest, they'll eat every single egg.
Oh yeah.
Every single egg, and it's crazy. I know it's got me thinking, if I'm going to lease or put any money into a property that I want to hunt turkey on, first thing I'm going to do is start running a trap line through there and just getting rid of all the coyote and raccoons. And, I think that's the biggest thing personally.
Now, I don't know if this has as much to do with it, but I'm sure it's a contributing factor as well. People in archery season who aren't specifically turkey hunting, especially in the big woods where you have a concurrent bear archery, deer archery, and then you have a turkey season, you have a deer hunter who's, now he can shoot anything that walks past him basically because he has a free fall turkey tag with his license. Right. I think if you made people pay for, a fall turkey tag rather than eliminate the season, because there's still people who enjoy the turkey hunt like me. I'm not bear hunting. I'm going out fall turkey hunting. That's what I'm going to do. So I do think it seems like Pennsylvania is leaning towards eventually eliminating the fall season, which will totally suck because I have a turkey dog and, that's the only time I can use them.
Absolutely.
So I would like maybe a change there, move the season up earlier into October in Pennsylvania, because then you have turkey hunters out of the woods during the rut when archery hunters are, focused on. Now, this is only applying really to public land. Private land, you're not going to have this issue. But public land, I'm running my dog, and there's guys archery hunting who don't know what a turkey dog is. And when they see a dog running through the woods, I kind of get nervous someone's going to shoot my dog.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Yeah.
So
I
I don't know.
hear you.
That sort of got a little off, spun off a little bit from what you were getting at. But yeah,
No.
I think that you'll have who aren't actually turkey hunting, killing turkeys, which I mean, obviously they have a right to. They bought a license, they can do that, and that's the set up. It's within the law. It's fine.
I agree with you, though. I think they should make it a separate license to where you have to purchase that fall turkey tag, and I'll guarantee you a lot of people won't do it.
Right.
Because they're not hunting turkey, but like you said, they're hunting deer. But if a turkey walks by, they're going to shoot at it or shoot it, and you can shoot a hen
right.
or a gobbler at the same sense. All you have to see is a turkey. That's it.
Yeah.
And with the populations declining, instead of taking away the season, maybe you just regulate a little more on making people purchase that license and put that license into some, habitat control or trapping, to try to help the population back up, put some money towards that, try to, just like they did with the pheasant stamp that they started charging with the pheasant. Do the same thing for fall turkey.
Yep, I totally agree. And that's so this year with my company, each call I sell, I'm going to donate $1 to the Allegheny National Forest. And I talked with a couple rangers up there, and depending on how many I sell, they said we can do one of two things. We can either $10 goes towards 10 trees or 20 trees. I can't remember what he said. So if I donate $10, that's 20 trees that gets planted, or we could put the money towards a specific project. Now, I'd like to see, maybe we can do something for turkey habitat somewhere in the national forest. I don't know. And it's all going to depend on how much money I raise for that. So to do that, that's the premise of my company, Allen and Friends Custom Calls. The acronym is ANF, Allegheny National Forest. So I don't know, something to contribute to Mother Nature and to.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're doing that. And, could they do anything with, controlled burns or anything too to try to help it out?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up with them. I don't know why they don't in that area. Because of wildfire, they're nervous of that or something. I'm not sure, but I'd like to see something like that. Just because in Tennessee, the turkey population on the one area that we didn't end up hunting much because of the pressure. But there's certainly a lot of birds there. From, I think the control burns really do help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be a lack of resources up there. You never know. There's so many factors that could go into that. Number one, there's too much tinder on the ground, man. Once one of those starts going, and the wind shifts, you're going to have a hard time putting that bad boy out. But, you've been talking about your company a little bit. Let's get into it. What kind of calls do you offer? Go in, let's go through each one of them. And then, like you said, you're donating to Allegheny National Forest. Let's get some of these calls out there, man.
Yeah. So I do, I'll make whatever you want. If someone, they're custom calls. So if someone has, Chuck, I know that I make all my calls 3 reads, but Chuck likes 2 reads. So I'll send Chuck some 2 read calls. It's whatever someone wants me to make. Or, what I offer are, a split V in both my Hunter series, which is the looser tension, or the competition series, which is the tighter tension. A bat wing in both, and that's, you have a split V and then you just cut the 2 flaps on the side away. That gives you your bat wing. Or I do the combo cut, which is half of a bat wing and half of a split V, and I do those in both as well. So 6 calls you have to choose from, or if you I can make a ghost cut. It takes a little more time for me to make those, but still the same price. I charge $7 plus tax and shipping. Yeah, that's the premise of ANF Custom Calls. And
yeah,
unless you use the code WDP, then you get free shipping.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of the combo cut, man. I ran that the last 2 years. I have a split V, but that combo cut it's money, man.
That seems to that and the Batwing are the crowd favorites. I personally run the Batwing. I feel like I can get a lot of different sounds out of that. I can get the front end. Turkey you get two notes with a hen yelp. You get the front end and then the back end with the rasp, and I can get a really high pitch front end note, which I like. And I always have this sound of this one hen in my head whenever I call, and I always try to hear or call like her, and that's what I'm going for. Everyone has a different hen that's here and there. That's what they're trying to sound like.
Yeah.
So, and that's what competitions, and that's sort of why I got out of them. I felt like the judges were so so much like that, they were only hearing for one hen rather than, at least in the competitions I called in, it seemed like they didn't really care to hear anything other than what they had in mind.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah, what they thought turkey sound like.
It's all subjective.
Yeah.
Oh, extremely. That would be tough. I would never want to judge one of those. I'd be giving everyone 10s. Yeah.
And another thing about these calls, man, I can attest to. I got 2 right here. Both of these. This is going to be the 3rd year, and I ran the hell out of these the last 2 years, and they're both still sounding great.
Yeah, my dad's using ones I think I made for him like 3 or 4 years ago. So as long as you take care of them, they're going to last.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I was showing a video to the group what was that, last year, Kyle? You're like, holy hell, Chuck, where did you get that call from? Throw that thing away. It was like 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
I was like, no way, dude. I was like, that's my purr and cluck call. Like,
dude, I do have one of those. Like, I'm just like you. I have a call that I keep in if a bird's hanging up and I want to do some cluck and purrs. It's basically just a worn out batwing call that is super, and I can get a really nice cluck and purr. Bubble cluck. I don't know if you've ever heard that term.
Oh, yeah. Shane Simpson, man.
Yep.
I currently have one of each right now, but I believe they're all triple reeds. I got rid of some of the older ones. I did, some of the ancient ones, but I've been running the triple reeds and both competition and the hunter series that you run. And I typically give the 2 reeds away to guys that don't call very often, like my brother Joe. He's pretty bad.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't sure if you used them or not.
No, I don't anymore. I did for a long time, though. That's what I ran until almost, I bet you last year's the first year I really got into that triple reed. I felt confident enough to run it. The batwing, I love it, dude. I love cutting on the batwing. You know, I feel like I can cut really well on the batwing where I don't get the same noise when I cut on the combo or the split V, although the combo is probably still my favorite. But I'll tell you what, I think I killed a bird on all 3 last year. You know, maybe not me personally, but me killing one and then other guys I was with, we killed birds on all 3. So
it's just
I don't know if I have a favorite.
I mean, you can get a split. One person could run a combo cut and the other person can't, and the other person might be able to run a split V that the other person can't. It's really how your mouth is shaped and how big it is and which side of the mouth you call out of, and do you huff on the call or do you blow on the call?
Sure, absolutely. You need to get like a YouTube channel going where you start doing some tips and tactics, man, or at least start maybe posting some of them to your Instagram page.
Yeah,
I know. I always feel like I'm like, yep, I'm gonna add videos, I'm gonna put stuff on my story and stuff, and then I never do. But I really do need to get like sound bites up for each call of me running just to give people an idea of what they sound like. And
heck yeah.
Just do it when you're walking out of the woods, man. Day's over, you're walking out, just pull your phone out and record one while you're walking. It'll be perfect. I'm telling you.
I was going to do that with the bird I killed in Tennessee, and once I got up the hill out of the mountain laurel and, climbing those rocks, I reached in my pocket and I lost the call. It was sweet too, man. I loved it right before I went down. Because I'll usually make a handful of calls, and then there'll be one I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm keeping that one.
Yeah.
And we're in the hills of Tennessee. So.
Yeah. Well.
if any of your listeners find it, tell them to keep it. It'll be worth money someday.
Just know that they killed a bird that day.
Yeah. That's what I'm glad it at least killed a bird.
Yeah, it's a sweet singing little lady. It is. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, we've probably kept you long enough, buddy. I know we're running a little over your time frame, all because I had to have the chimichanga cheesecake at Los Amigos tonight.
What?
If you haven't had it and you're ever in Newcastle and you come to Los Amigos, I'll tell you right now, you got to get the chimi cheesecake, guys. Okay, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Well, I'll get a hold of you and I'll let you buy me.
Hey. I will absolutely do that. You can hold me to it, Kyle.
All right, Kyle, before we let you go, brother, why don't you shout out and let everybody know where they can find you? Facebook, Instagram, all those fun places.
We're at ANF Custom Calls on Instagram and Facebook.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you taking time out of your night and doing this for us.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys. And hopefully at the end of turkey season, I know we talked about it last time I was on, but we do need to do like a season recap,
Yeah, totally, man.
Okay. I'll write you in. You got it, man.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it, brother.
Cowboy. Appreciate it, buddy. Good
Yep.
luck the rest of the season, man.
Thanks, you guys too.